welcome our members to again the series of the Meet the Executive Members. And I'd like to introduce Andy, who has been co opted as the chair of the Committee for Education and Approval and will be taking over that role permanently when Neil Langridge um, translates to another role onto the MACP Executive Committee. So I'd like to introduce Andy and ask him to tell us a little bit more about himself.
Excellent. Thanks, Helen. Yeah, I'm Andrew Cuff. I'm a consultant physiotherapist, having become a consultant in 2019. In my day job, I work for an organisation called Connect Health, where I hold the position of head of MSK. So I'm accountable for quality and education, safety, innovation, all that good stuff for our musculoskeletal services, which we provide up and down the country. And as you alluded to, I have big shoes to follow in terms of Neil and what he's done for the CAA over recent years. And I joined the MACP 7 months ago, so fairly new to the organisation. Still finding my feet somewhat, but I think with that comes opportunity as well, particularly with some of the things that hopefully I'll bring to the table and what I've got planned for education across the MACP over my tenure.
So you've mentioned that you're recently joined the MACP. What prompted you to want to join the organisation at this stage? Because obviously you're a very successful and experienced MSK clinician.
Yeah, good question. I think if you asked me 5 years ago, would I join the MACP? The answer would have been no, or maybe a bit longer than 5 years ago. However, I think that the journey the MACP has gone on recently really appealed to me. So I think I did my master's 10 years ago, and I actively chose not to do an MACP master's. So now it feels very strange sitting here talking about how I'm going to join the exec, and there might be some members listening thinking, crikey, who's this guy? But I think over recent years, looking from the outside in, the reasons that I actively chose not to take that route, I think have all been addressed, and some. So in terms of being open and being transparent, being inclusive, trying to increase the breadth and depth of membership was something I didn't really get that feel as an outsider a decade or so ago. So watching keenly on from outside and seeing the journey that the organisation went on over the last few years, I was really excited when the portfolio routes kind of opened up for membership, because I thought, you know what, I really feel now that I could have a home as an MSK clinician in the MACP, whereas previously I felt it was a bit strange that we had a musculoskeletal association that didn't really capture or represent the breadth and the size and the scale of the MSK specialty within our profession. So when I saw the portfolio routes coming up and saw that journey, I thought, yeah, this is something I want to be a part of. So back end of 2021, decided to throw my hat into the ring via the accelerated route, a bit of a guinea pig in terms of the first person through it, but found the process really rewarding, really reflective, to have my practice over a number of years checked and challenged, and having to kind of reflect on why I did things and why I didn't do things, and definitely came outside that process better understanding my own skill set, both strengths, weaknesses, and also affirmed my belief in terms of applying to join the MACP was the right thing to do. And then having joined and discussed the opportunity of joining one of the committees in the exec, it's felt like a real kind of good time, or kind of coincidental time to join, because I think that momentum about probably what I went through there as an individual clinician, I suspect there are other clinicians sitting there in the MSK landscape who might be at crossroads or thinking very similar. And it'd be my intent to kind of support and to kind of welcome those people into the MACP again over my tenure. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the last 10 years, but that's what excites me, and that's what I'm hoping to bring to the role.
That's great. So just touching on, kind of elaborate on your vision for the role, because obviously you're bringing all that experience of coming on that MSK journey, and obviously, you know, why we approach you for the role is because of your experience in education and development of staff, and being very involved in staff development with Connect Health. What is your vision of the role going forward, and where do you see, you know, the course, the Committee for Education and Approval going next to really push the kind of strategic aims and visions of the MACP?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a real balance to this. To continue to push the boundaries and to take it into a new direction, I think is really important. At the same time, try not to break all the hard work that's been gone on before me. So I do feel a sense of responsibility in that regard. So in terms of vision, I like to keep things fairly simple, but I think there'll be some principles that underpin what I would like to do and where I'd like to take the CEA moving forward. So keeping things simple, mainly to ensure we continue to influence, continue to set the bar in terms of musculoskeletal education standards, both internally as a profession, but also externally as well in terms of maintaining credibility, particularly with reference to the MACP. I think reflecting on that journey that I personally went on over 10 years, and therefore I think probably representative of others in the profession, is just to ensure that the MACP not only remain relevant to musculoskeletal practice, but to strengthen that position further. And I think it's already on course for that in terms of encouraging the breadth and depth of membership. However, I think there's a real opportunity to collaborate, to innovate, and to explore new ways of doing things, which really kind of bring MACP education into this contemporary landscape. I think there's some real drivers both within the profession and outside the profession within healthcare that's making us really rethink about how we approach education and the way that we support people to not only work in, but also thrive and continue to push the boundaries in the next generation in terms of what we deliver. And I think that's what excites me, is the opportunity to influence that, the opportunity to lead that, and also the opportunity to do things a little bit differently than may have gone before me, to achieve the strategic aims of the MACP. So that's my vision: to bring collaboration, to bring innovation, and to just think about how might we do things differently that equip physiotherapists and MACP members to thrive in a contemporary world, both now but also into the future.
That's brilliant. So in terms of if any members want to get in contact with you, or if there's any educational partners that want to talk about how they would fit in with that aims and visions, I assume that you can be contacted via the MACP website.
Yeah, I believe so. So I'm still finding my feet, but I'm sure my contact details are on there somewhere. And if they're not, you can always find me on various social media platforms for initial conversation. We can take it through kind of more maybe official routes thereafter. But my Twitter handle is all lowercase, Andrew V Cuff CUFF. So if you either reach out electronically, or if you see me in person at a conference or a course, then please do come and make contact. I'd be really happy to have a chat and see what we can explore together.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for giving your time, and I look forward to see where you take the Course Approval and Education Committee in the future.
Excellent. Thanks, Helen.